Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I've been getting a lot of awesome feedback from the last couple videos that I made, and so what I wanted to do is explain some of those comments a little bit further. The space that's provided in the comments on YouTube just aren't enough to really explain some of the questions that you guys have, and I really do want to go into depth on some of those because they are good for everybody. So if you haven't seen the videos, go back, check those out. I'm going to go through a couple of the comments that you guys have posted, and I'm going to go further in depth into each of those. So stick around and we'll get going. The first thing I want to do is always, I hate to push it, but I want to invite you to purchase a copy of my book. It's called Alternate Route. It's available on Amazon. I'll have the listing down below in the comments. It really is the best place to start. It's going to answer a lot of those basic questions for you to get started on your journey to becoming a military pilot. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So the first question is going to come from the video about the undergraduate pilot training pipeline and the Civil Path to Wings program. And the question was basically, do you still have a 10-year commitment upon completion of your Civil Path to Wings? Are you still required to be an officer, and do you get paid during training? So that's a three-part question. So I'm going to start off with the first part. So any person who graduates pilot training incurs a 10-year commitment from the date of pilot training graduation. So typically it's going to take you about a year or two from being sworn in until you get to pilot training. It's a year process to get through pilot training, and then 10 years after that. So you'll be 12 years in before you have your first opportunity to get out and either go to the airlines or continue and do a full 20-year service commitment. Now, the Civil Path to Wings program is providing the opportunity for civilian pilots with previous experience to skip portions of pilot training. However, it's just the pilot training portion that they're skipping. You still have to be an officer. So this whole process is underlined by understanding that you're going into the Air Force to be an officer first. You're not a pilot first. You're always an officer. And so you will be required to go to OTS, and I think that's 9 weeks at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. So understand that you will have to become an officer. You'll have to do that course with everybody else, and then after that you'll be placed into pilot training based on your level of qualifications if you are accepted to the Civil Path to Wings program. And then, do you get paid during training? Yes. So you will be on full-time orders from the time that you go to officer school all the way through to the end of pilot training. And depending on your airframe, you'll have follow-on training for that. So you'll go back to your squadron and you'll be given what's called a prog tour. And depending on your airframe, so for heavies, it used to be 6 months. I think they've whittled it down to like 2 or 3 months due to budget issues. If you're in a fighter, I believe it's still 2 years because they want you to upgrade to 2-ship flight lead at least. So it's 2 years of full-time orders. But the answer is yes, you will get paid. You'll get paid at the rank that you currently hold, and you will progress. So when you go to officer school, you'll be an E5 through officer school. You'll come out as an O1, and then you'll progress normally through the ranks after that. Okay, so the next question came from the video about submitting your packet, and it was a question about where to get your private pilot's license. And I believe the question was, what resource would be best used? So do you go to like a aviation university like University of North Dakota or Purdue or Embry-Riddle, or do you go to like an all ATP program where you're specifically there to fly and you're not getting a degree in the meantime, or do you use an FBO, a fixed base operator, like a small airport with a flight instructor who can teach you all the way through and get you all your ratings, and in this case just a private pilot's license. So it depends on your goals. If you want to be an officer, you have to have your degree. And if you haven't gotten your degree, maybe one of those aviation universities would be best fit for you. So you can do kind of dual, get both of those at the same time. So you get your degree after 4 years, and then after 4 years you come out, I think as a CFII, and possibly have some multi-engine time as well. So you would be above and beyond the private pilot's license at that point. However, maybe you already have your degree and you just need to get a private pilot's license. I did most of my training at a local FBO at a small airfield, and I can tell you that I had an excellent experience with that. You really get to know everybody there. The customer service was amazing, and I was able to fly as much or as little as I wanted. I wasn't fighting with other students. You have heard horror stories from like all ATP. It's very expensive. So you have a little bit more control over your training, your pace. If you go to a smaller FBO, I'm not going to recommend one or the other. That's just what I did, and I had an awesome experience. I know people have done all three. I know people who have done all three, and they're in the military. They're at the airlines. So whatever you choose, just I ask that you do your research, understand what you're getting into, how much it's going to cost, ask a lot of questions, and then I think you'll have the most information to make the right decision. Okay, the next question was from the same video, and it was asking whether you can switch from heavies to fighters and back and forth probably. So you can't go from heavies to fighters. Typically, it's people who are in the fighter community that get out and then go to the heavy community. And it's purely based on the training that's required. So for myself, I was in the F-15. I watched out of that program, and I could choose anything that wasn't a fighter. So I had to go to a bomber or a heavy unit. Now, for whatever reason, people, they fly F-22, F-15s, F-16s, and because maybe they get out after their 10-year commitment, they go to the Guard Reserve, they're able to transition a whole lot easier from a fighter unit to a heavy unit. And I don't know anybody who has gone the other way, and I'm pretty sure that it's not possible. So the next question is how to get into the fighter mindset. How do you prepare your mind for pilot training? How do you get yourself mentally prepared to be a fighter pilot? And I don't have a really good answer for that. I think there's some basic things that you can do that will help you as a pilot, but you'll learn all that along the way. If you're a smart person, you know how to study, you got relatively good grades in school, you understand kind of situational awareness, direction, you have your wits about you, kind of in all scenarios, then I think you're pretty well fitted for it. During the process, there's tests that determine how well you do with situational awareness, understanding of your surroundings, and your knowledge. And that's going to be the AFOQT, which is an SAT style test. So that's going to be your basic kind of college level knowledge. And then your TBAS, which is going to be the aircraft and navigational skills. So that's going to be kind of the hand-eye coordination. It's going to be understanding situational awareness of, hey, I'm here, but I'm looking at it from the northwest and I'm coming to it from this direction. What's going on in this picture? For more information on that, there's websites about the TBAS test, but there's not too much available. It's a pretty closed book test. But yeah, so they're going to test that. And so that's going to give you a score, and then that tells you how well you compete with other people. And typically, to be a fighter pilot, you're going to want a PICSM score of at least a 90, pilot and nav scores in the 90s as well. So I got a question about doing more videos about the Air Force ROTC program. And to be honest, I don't know too much about the program. I understand that it's just like anything else. You can go to a 4-year degree, you can get a scholarship for it. When you come out, you become an officer right away. You don't have to go to OTS. You've earned credit through the 4 years or 2 years of attending ROTC. There are pilot slots available through ROTC. They are limited, and you do have to compete for them. And in addition to that, the Air Force Reserve has its own special program to where currently they have 15 slots roughly nationwide where graduates from ROTC programs can transfer their active duty service commitment to the Air Force Reserve by applying. So if you go through the ROTC program, you're going to come out and you're going to join the active duty. However, if you were in ROTC and then found out, hey, I wanted to join the Guard or the Reserve, The reserve has this program to where after graduation you would join the reserves and you would go through training like everybody else, but then when you're through with your seasoning days, your prog tour, you would come out as a part-timer. So you wouldn't be a part of the full-time active duty. So I hope that helps. If you have more questions, just talk to a ROTC recruiter. But like I said, it seems pretty straightforward to me. You go through some military classes, some PT in addition to your regular college courses, and you come out as an officer. And then throughout that program, you're competing for whatever slot that you want. And the last question was, how do you get in contact with me? So continue to watch the YouTube videos, subscribe, leave comments below. I'll answer those as quickly as possible. Also, visit my website, youralternateroute.com. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's a contact me listing right there. I've got a Gmail account. You guys can email me anytime. I usually try to get to those within about a day or two. And if you have any other questions, let me know. If you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, drop me a line, and we'll see you next time.